Alright, so in today's video we're going to talk about a hot button subject that if you've been RVing for any length amount of time, you've encountered this problem. And I'm talking about mobile internet. Now some of you are going to go, whoa, Jim, what are you talking about? When you camp, you're supposed to be one with nature. Get out there, leave all your stresses behind, don't have outside influences. Sure, that's great. If that's the type of camper you are, or RVer, more power to you. But some of us, and especially the people that are full-time and that have a job on the road, need to have a stable internet connection. So this is what we're going to talk about, what we started out with and what we're using now. Alright, as we started our journey RVing, we started looking for campgrounds that had Wi-Fi. We thought, okay, no big deal. Park's going to have Wi-Fi, all's going to be good. And then the very first park that we stopped at, we had chosen a site that was way towards the back of the park for privacy. Well, little did we know that we weren't going to have any service. The Wi-Fi antennas hadn't been strong enough there at the time to reach our campers. So what did I do the very first trip? I went out and bought us a hotspot. And we relied on the hotspot and our cell phones for quite a while, and the only problem is that we got the hotspot through our regular phone provider. So if our cell phones didn't have service, our hotspot didn't have service. And that came to a head up in Paladero Canyon when we had no cell phone service at all. But luckily I had just changed over and got an independent hotspot from another company, so we were using two different setups and we were able to maintain connectivity just off of that. So this is the upgraded hotspot that we bought. It's a Netgear Nighthawk. It worked really well. This one here was just a cheap Moxie hotspot. It was serviceable. It got us internet. We were able to stream TV and whatnot. But it really had limitations because of it's just a cheap hotspot. The Netgear Nighthawk, this was really good. You can connect multiple devices to. The only problem is in the ever-changing cellular climate, this was 4G LTE, whereas the new 5Gs were coming out. And it was really expensive to get a 5G internet at the time. Now, throughout our travels, we've encountered several places where you get little to no service, and if you're just there for a little bit on a quick stop, not a big deal. But say for example you're trying to upload a YouTube video while you're in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, that can be a problem. So we literally drove down the road with our hotspot going, trying to upload a video last year when we were on our way to Zion. That was interesting. Now, also in our travels, we have picked up a cell booster. So we have a cell booster that I can deploy on a pole on the back of the RV and get it about 15 feet in the air, and that saved us quite a bit. What that does is it takes the existing cell phone signal and it boosts it, and you have an antenna inside the coach, and it helps you stabilize your signal. Now, if there's no signal out there to be had, it's not going to do anything for you. So along the way, Starlink came out. Starlink is great, but it had its limitations. First off, it was hard to get in certain areas. Then they opened up the RVing portability, and they started selling more and more. Well, the network's getting more and more congested. And at the time it was $130 a month with a $700 equipment purchase. That's a lot upfront cost for somebody that, like us, that we RV sporadically. We're not full time, so we have a home internet here. We run AT&T fiber at the house. I couldn't justify having $130, which now it's $150 a month, plus our home internet, and that just wasn't a viable option. So we'd been relying on a combination of hotspot and phones with the phone hotspot to provide our internet. And it's been challenging at times. Usually when one network's slow, you might be able to get on with the other network. And that's the key, is if you're running multiple hotspots, make sure you have several different providers so that if one's not getting a good signal, you might be able to get another one. Well, last year we heard about T-Mobile 5G home internet, and it's $50 a month. It's unlimited data. Now, that's huge for people that are data hogs. If you stream a lot, if you upload a lot, if you download, you want to make sure that you're not going to run into any data caps and where they slow your speeds. So the problem is that we couldn't get it where we were at the time. And supposedly it wasn't portable. Well, as the year went on last year, more and more RVers started trying it out, and you know what? It did work on the road because it's all based off of a cellular network. And last December, we were able to get one and try it out. And man, it has been a game changer. So let me just give you a little rundown. 0 upfront cost. $50 a month if you sign up for auto pay, $55 if you just pay month to month. They provide you with the router. So it is here it is right here. It just tucks off right back here in the corner. It's out of the way. It doesn't take up any space at all in our rig. And it has inputs if you need to wire your computer directly, and it's Wi-Fi enabled. So we are constantly running our Wi-Fi here at the coach, even when it's parked in our driveway. So in essence, it is a backup home internet for us when we're home, and it's our internet when we're on the road. So let me give you some real world numbers, and you make the decision whether or not we made a good deal. Let me give you a little bit of reference here. At our home here in Fort Worth, we have AT&T fiber. We have a gigabit setup, so we have a gig download, and that's wired. Now my son, he games a lot. He has it directly hooked up, and he's getting right up to a gig download. Everything else in the house runs on Wi-Fi. A typical speed on Wi-Fi for us on the AT&T system is going to be anywhere from 300 to 500 meg download, and thereabouts the same upload. So, and just depending on where you are in the house, the signal might fluctuate. Now, when we first bought the home internet and we set it up here in the trailer, we were immediately getting 100 down and about 67 up. Well, once you turn it on and it stabilizes for a little bit, the signal strengthens, and it'll run on 5G. If there's not a 5G signal, it'll run on 4G LTE. And to be honest, we haven't had any issues with not getting signal. Now again, I said we got the system in December. On New Year's Eve, we did a camping trip with some friends here locally in the DFW area, and we were actually able to stream Wi-Fi to a projector outside and watch a movie. And that particular night, we were getting 154 meg download, and upload was a little slower at about 6. So it was just perfect. The signal was strong, and in fact, we were camping with them another time in the same park, and we were about 100 yards away from our trailer because they were parked down the road, and my phone was still connected to our internet. So that's how strong the mobile Wi-Fi router is that comes with these. Very impressive. So let me just run a backstory for you of why we switched the way we do our internet. Well, it's connectivity issues. When we took our trip out to Zion last year, we were pretty lucky with our internet, but we did hit a couple of spots in Utah, in Arizona, where there was just really limited signal. So we were looking for a more stable internet connection. Now, running on the cellular networks, it's going to be challenging depending on if there's a tower nearby. And I know eventually, we're going to get to a point even with the 5G home internet that I'm going to have to run the cell booster. So, but I have it, and that's good. Here in January, we just took a trip to the Florida RV Super Show, and I'm going to give you some real world numbers from our trip from Texas all the way to Florida and back. You can be the judge of how the router worked. So back in January, we started a trip. We went from Texas. Our first stop was going to be in Louisiana. Now, we were pretty much in the center of the state, not by any major cities at all. We plugged it in once we got there, and we were pulling basically 8 meg download and 2 meg up, which it's not horrible, but we were able to stream, we were able to do anything that we needed to do, and we were very happy with that performance, again, in the middle of nowhere, Louisiana. Now, our second night on the trip, we stopped in Mississippi, and we were running 38 download and 62 up. And in fact, on this trip, Rhonda said that she was able to upload some videos faster off of this 5G home internet than our home's network on fiber. So that right there was impressive. She's pretty happy with it. On the third day, we made it into Florida. Now, we stayed in a state park in Florida, right on an island, right off the Gulf of Mexico. When I came into the park, I asked the state park ranger, I said, how's the cell service here? And she said, well, it's kind of spotty, you might not get any at all. I said, okay, so that way I knew what was going on. And we drove out, and again, we're on an island just on the edge of the Gulf of Mexico. We were pulling 34 down and 6 up, and we were happy. Again, able to stream, no issues there. As we moved around Florida, when we got into the more populated areas, the signal got stronger. You know, when we were in Auburndale, Florida, we were pulling 200 down, 50 up, and that stayed pretty consistent as we were in the Tampa area. No issues at all with service. Strong signal. We were able to download, we were able to stream, run our phones if need be. Our phones we run on the AT&T network, so it's a different service. And you know, I think that the T-Mobile network was far superior out there on the East Coast as opposed to AT&T. That was just our observations. Now, coming back, we stopped in Alabama for the night. We actually had really good service in Alabama. 504 download and 53 upload. So, you know, again, coming across, now obviously we're staying in campsites that were closer to Highway 10, so you are getting in that corridor where there should be heavy cell towers. But Alabama, we had no issues. It was great. The next day, we actually made it back into Texas. Now, this is coming at the 2.5 week mark for us on the road. As soon as we hit Texas, we ran into basically a tornado. That's Texas way of greeting us. We survived that okay, and we made it to our campsite just north of Beaumont. We were pulling in 46 down and about 2 up, but the problem was, I mean, there was 3 tornadoes that had touched down in the area. The signal got a little spotty off and on, but it still maintained connection. Now obviously, you know, after the storms, there was a heavy usage on the cell network, so we had expected it to go down, but we never lost connectivity, and we made it back home just fine. So on our trip from Texas all the way to Florida and back, we never had a time where we didn't get any signal. We were able to stream just fine, run our phones off of our network, utilize different smart devices that we have on the network, just no problem, our laptops and everything like that. So we were very pleased with the performance that we had going east and coming back. Now, is it going to be an issue when you get into more rural areas? I'm sure there will be, but on that trip and back, I never once had to deploy the cell booster to boost the signal. So that in itself right there is a win for me. So it takes one less thing out of it. And in fact, we didn't even have to use any of our hotspots that we'd brought with us. Everything we did off the 5G home internet. We didn't use our smaller hotspot devices because this router is just so powerful. It's great for us, because once again, Starlink just had a big price increase. So they went from $130 to $150, and if you had it at your house, you lost your portability. That right there, that's kind of a red flag with the amount that Starlink costs to get set up and run for what we need it. the 5G home internet works great for us. So we look forward to taking more trips with it, getting more real world data, and of course, if something changes, we're going to let you know. Let's break it down. Zero upfront costs. $50 a month with auto pay, unlimited internet. Has the ability to switch from 5G to 4G LTE if there's a signal issue. At that price point, it's a no-brainer. And from what I understand, if you're a T-Mobile customer, you can get it for $30 a month if you just add it on to your plan. So, we had cell phone plans that, the hotspot plan we had before was $35 a month, and you got 20 gig, which if you're a data consumer, you're going to blow right through that. And then, we have stuff that's unlimited, but as soon as you hit a threshold, it slows everything down. We haven't been slowed down yet with this 5G. So we're living this, and back home in Fort Worth, in a major metropolitan area, like I said, we keep this on all the time as our backup because the Wi-Fi reaches our house no problem. We're consistently getting speeds in the 300 and 400 meg download, in 75 up. So if my son's doing some heavy gaming and he's just data consuming, we can switch our devices over and have reliable internet as well. Hey guys, if you found any of this information useful, take a moment, please like, comment, and subscribe. We would love to have you follow us on our journey in this RV life. Well, that's all I have for you today. Just to clarify, we are not affiliated with T-Mobile at all. We tested out the unit that we got on our own account, and so far we're sold. It's a great deal, and we hope it works well for it. But until next time, guys, safe travels, and we'll see you out there.